Foreign a classic turn-based RPG in the style of Dragon Quest is not exactly the first place my mind guesses to when it comes to thinking of game genres that would pair well with the action-heavy world with One Piece, but as One Piece honestly proves. It's actually kind of a great feat Straw Hats make for one hell of a party of RPG characters. Edru Oda's one-of-a-kind art style lends itself well to fill in the world with fantastical and amusing creatures and the over-the-top nature of battles. From the actual manga and anime gives plenty of material for some of the coolest and funny special attacks I have ever seen in a turn-based RPG. Foreign those fights would have been better if there were a more consistent challenge and I could have done with less. Backtracking through areas I have already explored, but this is still a surprisingly satisfying JRPG that's not quite by the numbers. The story begins with Luffy and crew suddenly finding themselves moored on the mysterious island of Warford it is not long before. They meet two original characters, Liam and Audio, who have an understandably deep distrust of pirates so much, so that upon first meeting they steal the power of the Straw Hats, providing a convenient way to explain why Luffy and company don't win every battle just by looking at their enemies. So that does come later. What follows is a grand story that plays out on two fronts: the adventure. In forward, this the Straw Hat crew attempting to help Audio and Lim by defending a number of elemental colossi that are responsible for the giant storm that surrounds the island. I know what's the worst that can happen, and another that plays out in Memoria, a world of memory created through Lim's special ability that allows the Straw Hats to revisit specific locations and events in their history. Their revelations and twists won't shock anybody, but I still very much enjoy both sides of Odyssey's story. Lim especially is a wonder beautiful addition to the cast, and I loved watching her go from being extremely wary and cold towards the crews to being integrate the socially fibulated by each of their individual quirks, and eventually fully embracing the Straw Hats as her friends. It should be noted that Odyssey is aimed directly at long time One Piece fans, with the story picking up well after the Dressora ARC about 715 or so episodes in, and it's not why shy about diving deep into some of the biggest surprises of the show. These mistakes is a top recommendation for anybody who is new to the series, but if you are deeply invested in the world and characters of One Piece, there are some really great payoffs. In the memorial chapters, this comes in the form of quite what-if-like scenarios that have the crew wasting pivotal moments in the series with new perspectives. Even small things like the crew reacting to seeing the going Mary docked in the Alabasta is a moment that provides a powerful emotional gut punch to any long time. Fun like myself, moments like those are the heart of One Piece. Odyssey story, and they are brought to life brilliantly thanks to writing that feels totally in step with the anime and manga excellent performances, and a fantastic art style that automatically translates the NQ style of One Piece to 2D. One Piece Odyssey's combat is surprisingly simple, though that simplicity does wind up being a double-edged sword. The traditional turn-based combat is powered by a rock paper scissors logic that assigns every party member, enemy and boss a damage type of either power speed to art technique, power beats speed technique beats power, and speed beats technique. What makes this system works is that there's no traditional turn order and you can just freely pick whatever character you want to take the first move in combat. Even if they are not in your active party of your characters, you can freely swap them in without taking up a turn. You're also able to see which of your enemies is up next to take their turn and try and plan around. That is well, once all 4 characters in your active party have taken in action, the round of combat ends and everyone is able to act once again. The one complication to all of this is that there are multiple zones in the combat field, and in order for one character to move from one to another, they must first defeat all the enemies in their own zone. So on paper there is some strategy involved In deciding the order of which your characters to attack first, the problem is that One Piece Odyssey is so easy. For 95 of the battles, the strategy is rarely required. I never grinded in fact. I ran past a lot of enemies that would have given me even more experience and still felt wildly overpowered. For most of 14 or so hours it took me to reach the end. A lot of these stems from the dramatic stand system, which randomly gives you an additional objective during certain enemy encounter. Thanks for watching.